Welcome to the Innate Series, the ultimate resource for chiropractors looking to grow, thrive, and align their practice with purpose. In this week's episode, we have a clip from one of our previous training summits. Dr. Osborne shares how your mindset shapes your reality and why attitude matters in your chiropractic practice. Let's get started.
Can you control your mind? Because what determines your attitude? Your thoughts. How you think and your thoughts is what makes your attitude, right? And so, are you choosing your thoughts? Are you thinking the way you should be thinking? Because it will create the attitude. It will create the attitude that you have. Brian Tracy says this: you cannot control what happens to you, but you can your attitude toward what happens to you. And in that, you will be a master of change rather than allowing it to master you. Story on attitude. I know a lot of you have heard this, you believe this, you think this, and that is that, well, December, because of the holidays, December is always a slow month. And I've heard that over the years, and I, sure enough, I believed it, and it usually was. And one year, I decided to change my and my team's attitude towards December. Dr. Owen had said, "You're your own Santa Claus." And I said, "You know what? I am my own Santa Claus." And I got to thinking to myself about some facts. And I said, gosh, when do they say the hospitals are the busiest of any time of year? Oh, around the holidays in December. So I went, so people's health is worse during this month than any other month. There's a fact. Then I went, gosh, when do people have more time off work and out of school than any other time? Oh my gosh, it's December. It's during the holidays. More facts. And so when I added all that up, I said, well, if that's true, then December should be our busiest month. People are the sickest, and they have the most time to come in and take care of themselves. And so my staff and I adapted that attitude. That attitude, that sick people, what could be better for them to get well during the holidays? And they had the time to do that. The kids were out of school. They were on break. They could bring the children in. And guess what happened? We had not only the biggest December we ever had, but our biggest month up to that point in our practice. And it was nothing other than the change of our attitude about what December could be or should be. And so that's just a story that I have about that. Paul Meyer says this: attitudes are nothing more than habits of thoughts, and habits can be acquired. An action repeated becomes an attitude realized. So it is our thinking. So what are we feeding in that essentially produces our thoughts? What are we feeding in there? Are we feeding in our affirmations? Right? Or are we feeding in the news? Are we feeding in what's coming in on our phone, our news feed on the phone, right? And all the positivity that we get there, right? Because that will determine your thinking. Your thinking will determine your attitude. So you need to be very aware of what you are allowing in there. Just like the Coke can, right? Just like the Coke can. We're a vessel, and whatever we put in there is what's in there. And it will determine your thinking, and it will change your attitude. Years ago, I was coaching a doctor. He was up in Minnesota, and called him up. How's it going, Doc? Tell me something good. Oh, it's horrible up here. Unemployment. There is no new patient. Every new patient that comes into my office is unemployed. Doesn't have any money. I go, really? Well, what's the unemployment rate up there? He goes, oh my gosh, it's over 10%. And I said, so you're telling me that 90% of the people are employed, and yet you are such a marketing genius, you are getting only the new patients that are unemployed, and that's only 10% of them. I'm like, if you're such a marketing genius, let's figure out how to market to those 90% and have some paying patients come in, right? And so I understand the fact, yes, there's some unemployment in the area, but what was he thinking? He was thinking that nobody has a job, nobody can pay for my care, and guess what he was attracting? Exactly that. And so until I could get his mind changed to do that, to change his thinking, he was going to keep attracting exactly what he was putting out. And you will attract according to what you're thinking and what your attitude is. Proverbs 23:7 says, for as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So is he. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. What that means is gaining control over what you think about, and in particular, what you think about yourself and life. Take your thoughts captive. You have that ability. You have that choice. Isn't that awesome? Nobody has the right to tell you what to think unless you allow it. And if you allow it, it will change your attitude. I was recently watching this new Netflix documentary called Full Swing, and it's on the PGA golfers. And if you're a golfer, great series. If you're not a golfer, you may not get a whole lot out of it, because they really get into the behind the scenes and the personalities and the attitudes of these golfers. And there's two segments in particularly that one on Brooks Koepka and the other one on Joel Damon. And Brooks Koepka at one time was the #1 golfer in the world, and he won 4 majors, and he was just considered the ultimate, and he was going to be the next guy that chased after Jack Nicklaus's records and things like that. And all of a sudden he went through 2, 3, 4 years where he hasn't won anything. He hasn't really lived up to his potential that everybody thought he had. And in the interview, it was very interesting for me about him and the way he had started thinking. And it was, oh man, I just can't compete with these guys anymore. I just can't, I'm not the best golfer in the world anymore. I go out there and I'm not winning, and I don't know if I'm ever going to win again. And you could, such a change from the way he was. His posture, his mental posture before was like, nobody in the world's going to beat me, and I'm out here, I'm going to take them down. And it's so crazy in just a few years the way that his complete attitude had changed, and it's all about the thinking. And then Joel Damon is a journeyman on the tour. He's been out there for a while, but he's considered all of his friends, a lot of the top golfers in the world consider him one of the greatest talents out there. But when they interview him, he's going, well, no, I'm never going to leave a legacy on the golf. When I retire from golf, nobody's ever going to remember my name. And, yeah, I'm a good guy, and that, but I don't know if I even want to. I don't even know if I want to win majors or be at that level. And his best friend, who's his caddy, is just like, you're one of the best players in the world. You are top 10. You are top 10 talent in hitting the golf ball. And Joel Damon just refuses to believe it himself. And until he does, I highly doubt that he will ever win a big tournament. In fact, in this series, they show that he was indeed leading one of the majors through the second day, maybe even into the third day. He was leading the tournament and looked like he could win this thing. But guess what happened? On the weekend, right? That thinking got him. Eventually it catches up to him, even in that. Your life will always move in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Your life will move in the direction of your strongest thoughts.
Thank you for joining us on Innate. If you found value in today's episode, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. For more resources, mentorship opportunities, and to connect with our community, visit amcfamily.com. Until next time, stay aligned.